Hello guys, welcome to another new tutorial. As you can tell by the title, this tutorial is about sleeve drafting. So how to draft a basic sleeve, the long sleeve and the short sleeve. So if this is something that you really want to know about, if this is something that interests you, definitely you have to keep watching because you really learn a lot from this video. So before I continue, I would like us to know the different type of sleeve we have. One, we have the cap sleeve, we have the short sleeve, we have the elbow sleeve, we have the three-quarter sleeve, we have the bracelet sleeve, and we also have the long sleeve. Now, what are the measurements we need? So the measurements we need, I've divided them into two. The first part at the length and the second part at the circumference. So for the length, we need the arm length. If you check through this picture, you will see where they wrote the arm length. So that is the arm length, that is from the shoulder down to the wrist area. So the second length measurement we need is the elbow length, that is from the shoulder to the elbow side. Now for the circumference, we need our bicep circumference. So from this picture, just look at where the arrow is pointing to, the bicep circumference over there, the elbow circumference, and also the wrist circumference. For the wrist measurement, a lot of people make mistake. Whenever they are taking their wrist circumference, they make it to be very tight around the wrist area. This is wrong, except you are using a stretchy fabric. If you are not using a stretchy fabric, it's not advisable for you to measure around the wrist this tight because you won't be able to off the sleeve. But this is the right way to measure the wrist measurement. You have to measure around this part. So now let's draft our pattern. So the line over there is just the starting line. Then I'll measure 4 inches as my bicep line. You can measure your bicep line from your sleeve, from your hand, but for me I use 4 inches, between 4 to 5 inches, depending on how fat the person hand is. So I measure the 4 inches, then I roll out a line. Then I measure my short measurement, my sleeve measurement. The sleeve measurement I'll be using here, the short sleeve is 7 inches, so I measured it there. Then I'm rolling it out also. So I'll be adding additional 1 inch. This one will serve as a seam allowance in case I want to turn it or I want to just fold it in, just adding it. So that's that about that. So now you measure this part, then you divide it into 2, and you know it's 4, so 4 divided by 2, it is 2. So now we'll measure our biceps. My bicep is 12, so 12 divided by 2, it is 6 inches. Then I'll be adding 1 inch as my seam allowance, that is to join the sleeve. I'll be adding 1 inch. So now I'll measure all the lines, which is 7 inches, and 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. I'll mark 3.5 over there. And you notice that we've marked 2 inches before there, so where the both line meet, I'll just make a point around that area. So I'll just make a point around that area. That is 7 inches, and 7 inches divided by 2, which is 3.5. That's the points there. And you know this distance here is 4, and the middle point is 2. So now I'll just be drawing a curve across that line. So I'll be using my pen at first, so later on I'll use my marker to join it. So now we'll connect that point to the bicep line over there. For this, you can use a free hand, especially when you are drafting it on your fabric directly. You can just use a free hand if you don't have a French curve. So now for this side over here, for my short, the measurement, the circumference around that area is 10 inches. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Then I added my 1 inch sewing allowance. Then I'm connecting the line from the bicep line to the length of my sleeve. So I will extend the line downward for the seam allowance. I'll just draw a straight line. Just draw a straight line downward, just like that. So that's what I have there. So now I'll be using my marker to draw out those lines that I've drawn with my pen. So just be using my marker to draw it out again. So guys, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked, if you haven't dropped a comment, please kindly drop a comment. Just let me know any part you don't understand, and let me know if you learn one or two from the video so far. So this is it after drawing it out. So let's draft the long sleeve pattern. So for this long sleeve, the method is almost the same thing with the short sleeve. So this is me marking out the starting line over there. Then I'll measure my bicep length, which is 4, my elbow length, which is 10.5, then my long sleeve length, that is my arm length, which is 21. Then I'm adding 1 inch as a seam allowance. Then I'll just be rolling a straight line from each point. I'll be rolling a straight line. So now after that, I'll be dividing my bicep line into 2. That is 4 divided by 2, which is 2 inches, and I'll be drawing a fence line around that side. So now my bicep circumference, which is 12. So 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Then my sewing allowance of 1 inch. Then I'll take the measurement, which is 7 inches. So 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. And I'll mark it at that point, at that line, that 2 inches line. Then I'll connect the line just like that, just like the way we did for the short sleeve. So after that, I'll just connect this other part too. So now let's move to our elbow line. So my elbow, 10 inches divided by 2, which is 5, plus my seam allowance 1 inch, that's 6. So for my wrist measurement, it is 8 divided by 2, 4, and 1 inch seam allowance, that's 5. So that's what I just marked out at that point. Then I'll be connecting the lines just like that. I'll be connecting all the lines like that. So this is what we have. Then the next thing now is just to use my marker to draw out all those lines that I've made on the pattern paper. Once again, if you haven't liked this video, if you haven't commented, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly do so. Please engage on this video, drop a lovely comment, drop questions in case you don't understand any part of this video, and I'll be replying your comments as soon as I get them. So this is what we have after drawing out the pattern. So I'll just go ahead and label them. So that area is the seam allowance, that is the elbow, that is the bicep. Below the seam allowance is our wrist line, but I forgot to label that part. So that seam allowance area is the wrist circumference area. So now we just cut out my pattern paper. So this is what we have. So note that this pattern paper is folded. That is, whatever I cut on this pattern paper, it is folded. So I will open it up shortly so that you can see. So this is the short sleeve and this is the long sleeve. So now opening it up, this is what we have, as you can see. So if you watch up to this moment, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, for commenting, for subscribing. Thank you so much for engaging on this video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.